When was the last time you were obsessed with a woman who was fully available to you? Not complicated, not keeping you guessing, just there. If you can't remember, this video explains why. Think about the last 3 women you couldn't let go of. One of them answered your texts sometimes, went quiet for days, came back warm like nothing happened. You told yourself she was complicated. Another one gave you one good night, one conversation that made you think this could be everything, and you spent the next 4 months trying to get back to that night. The third one told you she wasn't ready. You heard, "Not yet." You waited, you adjusted, you became whatever you thought she needed you to be. 3 different women, different faces, different years, same pattern every time. She was just out of reach, and that distance felt like proof she was worth reaching for. What if the distance was the entire point? What if your brain didn't choose her despite her being unavailable, but because of it? By the end of this video, I'll give you one test, a single honest question that tells you whether you actually want her, or whether you're addicted to the fact that she hasn't chosen you back. If this is landing, hit subscribe. More of this every week. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons. He put them in a box with a lever. Press the lever, get food. Simple. But then he changed the rules. Sometimes the lever gave food, sometimes it didn't. No pattern, no logic, just random reward. The pigeons went insane. They pressed the lever compulsively, obsessively. They couldn't stop even when food was sitting in the corner untouched. Skinner had discovered the most addictive reward pattern in behavioral science. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the exact mechanism running inside every slot machine ever built. Now think about her. She texts back sometimes, goes cold for 3 days, comes back warm on Friday, disappears again Monday. You never know which version of her you're getting, and that's exactly what keeps you pulling the lever. The relationship that felt the most intense to you was the one operating like a casino. You weren't in love, you were pulling a lever. A neuroscientist at the University of Michigan named Kent Berridge spent years studying something most people assume is one thing, but is actually 2: wanting and liking. Your brain has a wanting system. It runs on dopamine. It drives pursuit, anticipation, the feeling that you need something. And it has a separate liking system, smaller, quieter. That one produces actual pleasure when you get the thing. Berridge proved they're independent. He boosted dopamine in lab subjects. They pursued the reward harder, faster, more obsessively. But when they got it, their pleasure response didn't change. They wanted more without liking more. Think about what that means for the woman you're chasing. The intensity you feel right now, that's the wanting system screaming. It's not responding to her. It's responding to the gap between you and her. Close the gap and the signal dies. Have you ever finally gotten the girl who was just out of reach and felt the whole thing go flat within weeks? Drop that in the comments. There's something deeper running underneath the dopamine. Why does your brain lock onto her shape specifically? Why this particular type of distance? We'll get there. You've probably said this at some point. There's no spark with her. About the woman who texted back on time, who showed up when she said she would, who was actually available. You dismissed her. Something was missing. It didn't feel like the other ones. Not enough electricity, not enough pull. What you call a spark is cortisol, the stress hormone. When your body detects a familiar pattern of uncertainty, it floods your system with the same chemicals it uses to respond to a threat. Your heart rate rises, your attention narrows, your whole body orients toward the source. And because nobody ever taught you the difference, you labeled that activation chemistry. The available woman doesn't produce that response. She doesn't trigger your alarm system. So you read her safety as boredom, her consistency as predictability, her presence as a lack of mystery. Let me be clear about something. You didn't reject her because she lacked something. You rejected her because your wiring can't feel attraction without the threat of loss attached to it. That's not a preference. That's wiring you didn't choose. So where did the calibration come from? Go back to the first person who was supposed to love you without conditions. A parent, a caregiver, someone who was there but never quite there. Warm one day, withdrawn the next. Attentive when it suited them. Absent when it mattered. You grew up inside a slot machine, and your brain recorded the pattern, not as trauma, as a definition, the shape of what love looks like. Freud called it repetition compulsion, the unconscious need to recreate the original wound with a different person, hoping this time you'll win. You're not choosing these women randomly. You're casting them in a role, the same role, distant, hard to pin down, just warm enough to keep you trying. And an available woman can't play that part. She doesn't match the shape, so your brain files her under no chemistry and keeps searching for the one who does. The woman you're chasing right now isn't a partner. She's a restaging, and the original show ended a long time ago. Here's the test. Picture the woman you can't stop thinking about. Now picture her choosing you. Fully. No games, no distance. She calls you tomorrow and says she's all in. Be honest with yourself. Does that thought fill you with relief? Or does something in you go quiet? Does the intensity start draining the second the chase ends? If the answer is the second one, then what you're feeling was never about her. It was about the distance, the uncertainty, the lever. Groucho Marx said it best. I don't want to belong to any club that would have me as a member. He was joking. You've been living it. The woman was never the point. The pattern was, and the pattern will keep running, picking the next one and the next one after that, until you stop looking at her and start looking at the program underneath. When did you first realize you only wanted the ones who didn't want you back? Drop it in the comments. If this hit subscribe. The next one goes deeper.